counting the number of Final Fours now that this would be for you. Can you give us a ballpark?
Well, 5 on television, and I'm not sure here on the radio, about 17 or so.
So we'll go with
22, 23.
We'll go roughly 22.
Plus a couple that I just had gone to before I was doing the live broadcast, so I'd say in the 24, 25 area.
And what is it? What is it like coming back every? I mean, we obviously have a very minor role here. For me, it's a thrill. I count them. It's 5. So I'm thrilled to be here every year. Do you ever lose that thrill? Do you ever lose that? I can't believe this is what I do for a living.
No, it was awesome to walk into AT&T Stadium yesterday, Jerry's World over here. I've been there for football.
Yeah,
I did the Super Bowl in there when the Packers beat Pittsburgh. And you walked in there and you saw that literally the television screen is longer and bigger than the basketball court. Yeah. I think if you set it down, you could play on that and there would be more space. And you just see it. No. So, and then to walk in, I made it a point yesterday to walk in with all 4 teams and just to walk in with a player or two and to see their eyes and to see the wonderment and how awesome and awestruck everybody is. No, how can you lose? It's like you're not alive. Why would you be in sports if this became commonplace? So, no, I'm lucky, fortunate, don't take it for granted, and I enjoy it every time I have the opportunity.
And each year's different, obviously. The games are the spectacle. You want to be there. That's the focal point. But each team brings in a different storyline. And is it hard to not focus on that, but when you look at the different teams that are coming in with their different backgrounds, their different makeups, does that make for an interesting tournament? I mean, when you have different teams, like the teams that have been together or the teams that are young or the teams that bring in baggage, whatever it may be, does that go into it?
Well, I think what happens here, unlike any place else where I go, I don't care about the outcome of any of this. I want a good game. I want it to come down to the wire. You hope everybody plays hard and that no one gets injured. Here, you really want all 4 teams to win because you know what it means to them. They're young guys, and they've put everything they've got into it, and it's a special thing in a special place, and they all have unique stories. They've all overcome something, and they've all won whatever the number of games, 5 or 4, to get to this position, and they've all had magnificent seasons up until now. And the roller coaster ride of it, I mean, you can go back with each of these teams, I guess with the exception of Florida, and they're for the grace of God. I mean, a tipped ball here, something off the rim there, a basket there. So, you hate to see anybody lose at this point, so you want to see them all win. So that's the only really different feeling that I come in with, no matter what the story is, because all of these guys have some great stories, and all of them have overcome just tremendous difficulties and odds, and somebody's family has been ill, or some kid grew up homeless, or some coach Ryan has, gotten to the pinnacle of his career after winning 4 Division III titles. Yeah. So, I mean, there's always going to be somebody or something to glam onto for each of these institutions. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of the way I see it.
But as a reporter, how do you, number one, discover those stories, and then number 2, how do you get the subject to kind of bring that out? I mean, we all know Bo Ryan's dad's not here, for example. He doesn't like talking about it a whole lot. He has a little bit, but how would you approach it and say, hey, you've got a great story to tell, let's make sure America hears about this?
A lot of the stories are exposed. I mean, how many thousands of people in the media and tweets and blogs and radio talk shows and everything, so a lot of it we have in front of us. But I spoke to all the coaches yesterday, and 2 of them were crying. And we'll have those interviews on the pregame on Westwood 1 tomorrow. I was not expecting to have anybody in these interviews be in tears,
right,
and have that emotion. And it was Bo Ryan, and very surprisingly, out of nowhere, Billy Donovan. And Billy Donovan's an incredible story, who we all have a lot we can learn from him based on his experience and how he handles things and how he has handled a number of instances. So I'm extremely impressed with him, have been for a long time, but to a whole new level. And it came from this interview. And so everybody will have a chance to hear it and make their own decision. So that in and of itself, for me, became the story.
Sure.
And I wasn't expecting that. So you just kind of go with what you know and try and find out a little more.
That is one of the main differences between college athletics and professional athletics, is that they're playing more so for the passion. I mean, these guys obviously have futures that could go into professional athletes, could do whatever. But right now, I mean, they're playing for the love of the game. Do you see that translate to a different style of play? I mean, when you look at comparing the professionals and the college athletics, there's something special about March Madness, the tournament, that just has this different aura.
Well, it's the time of their lives. And, no matter how you want to view this, whether you think that college sports is a big business, or whether you think it's student athletes who are amateurs who are getting an education, however you want to view this is a unique part of their life. It's their youth, and you can never recapture this. So it is special because of the way that they approach it.
Sure.
Because this, for a lot of them, the road ends here. The road ends at college basketball.
Yeah.
To be an NBA player, what do we have in the NBA? 30 teams?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's 15 players on a team. So we have 450 jobs.
Yeah.
Okay? We have 330 million people in the country. So we're looking at what? 1 in 800,000? 1 in a million, let's just call it that.
Sure.
That's what your odds are. And it's less than 1 in a million, really, because of all of the players who come from overseas now.
Yeah.
So for these college guys, it's the longest of long shots. So to answer your question, this is where the road ends.
Yeah.
It will never be like this again. No matter what they do in their life, this experience will not happen. Now, they may get lucky and come back to a second Final Four. Or if they're really fortunate, a third Final Four. But if they're great players, they're not staying that long.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to repeat. That's why you've really got to look with tremendous, tremendous respect and admiration for what's gone on in Connecticut the past 20 years, for what's gone on at Kentucky the last 4 years, to see the people be able to repeat, the institution repeat, with different kids, different players. It's remarkable to see what Duke has done over a course of period of time, even though they're not here, obviously. It's remarkable. But to answer your question, yes, it's a different feeling and it's a different time in their lives. And if they're good enough and lucky enough to go on to the next level in the NBA, it becomes a business.
Yeah.
They have to play their way onto the team, and then they have to play their way into the game to get minutes. Then they have to play their way to a contract to stay. So it's a lot of pressure.
Last couple of things for Jim Gray. He mentioned the pregame interviews that they'll have tomorrow night on the Fan. You'll be on the sidelines like you always are. Do you have an indication of who's going to be in the crowd, who you might be talking to? Any in-game secrets you can share with us?
Well, I don't have any secrets, but we're hoping that we believe Russell Wilson will be here. In fact, we know he will be, so we hope to have him on. Aaron Rodgers, we believe, will be here, so we hope to have him on. Jerry Jones we will have on, since it is his building and his
nothing
creation.
goes on in his building without him being in the middle of it, right?
And he is wonderful.
Yeah.
And a dreamer, and he's accomplished, and I'm very fond of him, so he'll be on. We're hoping, we don't know, but quite possibly President George W. Bush, 43, who has his presidential library here, who's come on several broadcasts with us in the past, and perhaps he will be here. And then we will go from there. But Bill Walton will join me at halftime and in the pregame as well, so it doesn't really matter who the guest is. Bill will take most of the time, and
Sure.
he's already talking right now.
I believe that. Well, I did want to sneak in one Walton question, because
Sure.
he is the highlight kind of Monday when he comes through here and he's got his stool and he acts, and we're all his best friend, and he's so glad that we're all here. But one thing that people don't know is Sunday night, the dinner that we come to, that you guys have us for. He speaks very fondly of what you mean to him, and I mean, the quote. Jim Gray saved my life. I doubt you'll take all the credit for it, but what does it mean to you when a guy like Bill Walton says, I was in a bad way, and Jim Gray called me every day and he helped me through it? I mean, what does that mean?
Well, I love Bill. I love him as a human being, and I love what he represents and how much he's helped others. Bill won't talk about himself much. He won't talk about what he accomplished in basketball, and he won't talk about what he does in life. But he raises dogs for the blind. They come and go at his house all the time. He works for the Wounded Warriors. He works for wheelchair athletes. He's spent a whole lifetime now, post-career, giving to others and making their lives better, selflessly. And he doesn't do it for recognition or for accolades. Rides his bike every year from Seattle all the way down the coast to San Diego to help all of these people who've had the misfortune in wars and need help getting on in their lives. So when Bill got sick and he was on the floor for 18 months and it felt like he was being electrocuted every minute, when I was with Bill for all these years, and I spent more time with Bill on the weekends than I've spent with my wife in my life, because we worked together at CBS, then at NBC, then at ESPN and ABC. And when he got sick and he needed to have all of those, he couldn't find a doctor, and by his own admission, he was going to kill himself a few times. He was going to just jump off that bridge. He couldn't take it. Well, I found him a doctor that he would trust and that he allowed to do the surgery, and now he's well and he's back up. So he had to make the decision to do the surgery. When he says I saved his life, I just simply found him a doctor and was a friend. And I think that you guys, if you had a friend in your life that you cared about, you would do anything you could so that they would feel better. Yeah. Bill's made me feel better my whole life, so it wasn't that hard.
Enjoy Final Four 22, 23, or 24, whatever it is. It was a pleasure. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.